Thanks for joining everyone and welcome to the last session in this bootcamp. So thank you for your continued passion to learn SSJS, and I hope, I'm sure you're able to learn one or the other or many things for sure in this bootcamp. And thanks a ton for Tim for collaborating with me on this. And thanks everyone again. And today's session is all about the additional functions and tips. So Tim is going to present all the other functions that we haven't covered in the previous sessions, and also some tips while using the SSJS in your emails or the cloud pages and the scripts. So that's a lot of learning over the last few weeks, few months, I should say. So any questions in this session, please post them in the chat. And I also want to announce about the upcoming bootcamp, the Data Cloud Bootcamp, which is for 15 sessions. So that happens every Tuesday and Thursday. We're also planning for some deep dive sessions after the bootcamp, and also in parallel, we may have these hands-on sessions, the similar way that we have for the SSJS. For the Data Cloud as well, we are planning to have the hands-on sessions, and make sure to register to all the sessions in the bootcamp. So I'm going to share the link to the group, the Marketers Group Phoenix. So you can find all the events published on it. So you can register to those sessions there. Any questions, please post them in the chat. And I think that is it from my end, Tim. You can take it over.
Thank you, JB. And thank you, JB, for this amazing bootcamp and all that you do. I mean, as we all, the group that we work with, have been reflecting for this year, we've learned so much thanks to you in all of the amazing boot camps. And as you all probably know, JB does such an amazing job on YouTube posting all those videos so that you can watch them all and go through all those sessions and continue to learn. So thank you, JB, for all you do. Just wonderful, great learning experience for all of us. It was just fantastic. And just wonderful that we had 12 sessions. So sorry.
Thanks, Tim. It's all the teamwork. So it's not just me. And I wanted to tell about the next 2 sessions as well. So the hands-on sessions, we extended to 2 more weeks, 2 more sessions actually. After tomorrow's hands-on session, we have 2 more hands-on sessions next week, Tuesday and Thursday, right, Tim?
That's correct. Yeah.
I'll share the link to the group. The Bevy page, you can find those events as well and register. Okay, Tim, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me just move to the next page. Okay. Yeah, so as JB mentioned, we got a couple of hands-on sessions. One tomorrow. If you're interested in being a builder, please post in the chat your email address and we'll reach out to you and get you building on Thursday. We're still building out the multi-form landing page, and then we're going to shift over to wrap up where we're doing some work on a custom preference center. And if all goes well, we might even have a couple more sessions, but we definitely have the next 3 sessions coming up. So please put your email in the chat and you can build with us. So today's session, like JB said, we just wanted to regroup and look back to all the other sessions and come back with a couple of different ideas on areas we thought we didn't cover or areas that could do a little bit more deep dive in. And so we identified 2 areas in specific, and then one we were having some kind of fun exploring with and wanted to share that if we have time at the end. So the first 2 are related to Sandesh, and in a session, I think last week's session covered try-catch. I think Michelle has been covered throughout the session, but the actual handling and storing of those errors and those success functions within server-side JavaScript, we thought it'd be good to go through the effort of logging those for a use case. And then second, we've touched upon publication lists and preference management as we're working to build this preference center, which is the typical use case for server-side JavaScript. And we wanted to cover a couple of functions there of adding subscribers specifically to a publication list and unsubscribing them as well. And then if we have time at the end, we have this use case for triggering an automation in server-side JavaScript, which is kind of complex, very cool functionality, but would be kind of fun just to walk through that as well. And then at the end, we'll wrap up with we collectively just thought of some good tips and tricks for you to think of as you're working through your coding. So, okay, so the first area we're going to cover, we're going to actually fold the first two bullets into one use case, is capturing those errors in those try-catch statements and logging them. So we've got an example here where we are catching the error message and storing that whenever there is an error so that you can have a log of all those errors when they occur. We've shown a lot in these sessions where you can display those errors, but as you probably know, the most common use case, those errors were not going to be displayed because your end users are going to be seeing any errors or any issues on the page. So it can be helpful to store in a data extension. So we'll walk through that using the rows add function that we've covered before, and a little bit about how to capture that error and write it into those data extensions. And then on the flip side as well, it's like capturing that success as well. You can use the logging not only for those errors, but for successes as well, just so that you can capture that information and utilize that as well. So we'll be going through that in detail. We'll be walking through a coding example of that right in the platform. Okay, so talking about customer preferences, this is the use case we thought of that might make good sense and to frame the work that we're going to be building in the platform today. So Cervelo Bank wants to offer its customers the ability to opt in and opt out of different types of messaging. So they have a weekly promotional email stream. They have a monthly promotional email stream. So they want to give them the ability to say, yeah, I'd like to have just the weekly promotional emails, or I'd like just to have the monthly promotional emails. You might have seen this in sort of preference management, or when you sign up for emails, certain companies can offer you, different brands within their portfolio that you can subscribe on. So working on that functionality, how do you subscribe somebody into a sort of what we're going to use these publication lists so that they can be, fully subscribed and all subscribers, but not receive every single email for your communications. And then we've touched upon unsubscribe, but so we're going to just work through the use case of unsubscribing within the publication list. Not really focus too much on that because we do recommend the AMP script utilization functionality, which I think we'll try to get to on hands-on as well. So we'll walk through that, and let me just walk through a couple of the things we're going to be working on there. So for the, we're going to walk through a pretty basic functionality where you can capture that data and just store it into a data extension. And that way you can tailor your communications based on sort of a universal subscriber file. It doesn't really use the publication list, but just as a level set of a basic way of doing that. And then we're going to be using the upsert function for using that subscriber function that we've used before, but not to this level of detail, and specifically subscribing somebody to a specific publication list. Finding that specific ID, which is kind of hard to find for publication lists, and building that out right in the platform and adding test records to it. And then we'll be using the upsert function and filling out that, tailoring it to our use case for that specific publication list, both adding a subscriber and then unsubscribing them. And then circling back, looking at all subscribers, and just to see the relationships of how when you add a subscriber to a publication list, via server-side JavaScript, it also adds them to all subscribers. And then if you unsubscribe them from that publication list, as you can see displayed here, they are unsubscribed from that publication list, but they are still green shirt, or they're still active within all subscribers. Just a the unique characteristics of that, and just to sort of circle back on the functionality with that as well. Okay, so we're going to go right into the platform. We're going to go right into Marketing Cloud. Let me just zoom in a little bit here, just so that everything is visible. So here's our basic page that we've set up, similar to other pages that we've used in our bootcamp. And this is like a sample page where someone could fill in their email address, and they could use these radio buttons to either subscribe or unsubscribe from specific some specific email lists. So let's go into the code on this and just take a look at what we've got going on so far. So this what we've got set up are we're creating some variables that we're pulling in based on these radio buttons. This is very similar to what we've done in hands-on or in previous sessions in the past, where we are setting certain values based on those radio buttons. So if they click on weekly deals, the yes button, we're going to return a value of 4, meaning that, you know, on the back end, they could be receiving 4 emails a week. If they clicked on the monthly yes, then they're going to get, you know, receive a value of 1, so one a week. And then these no values, which we've used to unsubscribe. So those values, I think we've covered before, setting those using the platform request function within server-side JavaScript to pull in those variables once they're submitted. And then we've also set up a data extension called this universal data extension, where we want to capture sort of this base level subscriber preference, not using the actual publication list. And so if we go to that data extension that's set up here, it's a pretty basic data extension, and you could get a lot more complicated here, but it's basically just the email address. You know, add subscriber key to, and then it's just going to populate if they are interested in the weekly, the monthly, and then when that record gets populated or updated. So back in the server-side JavaScript, we are using the functionality which we've shared before, is that once someone fills out this form, we're going to add to this data extension, the DE data extension, which is being initialized up here, this universal DE SSJS, and we're going to add the email address. If they want to go into weekly, we're going to use the weekly yes variable. If they want to go into monthly, we're going to use the monthly yes variable. So let's just click into this. We'll just do a test example. So I'll do Tim, SSJS, my serval. And let me say, I'm just going to subscribe to both of those just to use as an example. So let's go to that data extension. Let's see if we've got this updated. And here we have those records where I've come through. There's my email address, and I've got this populated so that if I needed to query this data extension, if ever I'm doing an email send, I could, you know, exclude those people that only want monthly sends from there. So that's a really basic, that covers a lot of functionality that we've been using before updating a data extension. We've done that before. So let's go into our next you know, function, make this a little bit more complex, where we want to add these subscribers to specific publication lists based on their preferences. So if we look in our server-side JavaScript documentation under subscriber functions, there is an upsert function that allows you to upsert to a specific list. So we're going to pull this code right from the documentation, and then let's just drop it in here into our code, and we'll customize it. Before we do that, I want to create an if statement that's going to check to see if we're going to only want to do this if they have filled out a specific, so let's say they filled out weekly and it returned the value of 4, which is what that radio button returns. And let's just open up that if, and then we're going to close that if. right after the code we just pasted in. So if somebody fills out, we've got that form as a 4, we're going to follow through and fill out all these details. So let's just customize this to our example. So email address, we've got this up here, this variable, which we've set based on that form fill, so we can replace that there. In this example, we're just going to use email address as subscriber key. Obviously, you'd want to use a unique value there, maybe a contact ID or a lead ID. For this example, email type preference, we're going to want to use HTML. We don't need attributes for this example, so we're just going to delete that. Status active is great. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to add them to this publication list, and then we want to upsert. And then the last part we need to figure out is for our publication list, what is that ID for the publication list? So if we go into Marketing Cloud, up under publication list, we've created a couple of different publication lists. So here's this weekly newsletter publication list. A little bit of a mystery on how to find the ID on this. It doesn't really appear in the properties, which is kind of interesting. But if you click on the box and you hit export, you'll be presented with this ID. And this is the specific ID for that publication list. So we're going to go back in here. We're going to drop in this publication list there. And then we want to change this to, we're going to be initializing the subscriber. So that is the email that's coming through here. And I think that is it. So let me just save that. And then let's schedule and publish. Okay, that all looks good. And hit publish. And then let's go try this. We're going to fill in another email address. So test SSJS 2. And let's just do weekly deals and submit. Okay. Let's go check our date extension to see if that date extension got populated. And that came through for just weekly. Let's go back to the publication list and click in and see if we've got a new person added. There we go. Just got added to that publication list as active. So there we go. That's pretty straightforward, pretty fast on how to add somebody to a publication list. Let's also just copy and paste this subscriber into all subscribers, just so that we can just confirm that this was added to all subscribers. So I'm going to go into subscribers, all subscribers. And I'm just going to search for that email address. And there I am. I just got added. I'm green shirted. I'm active. And then I should be in this list. There's the weekly newsletter as active. So we'll come back and unsubscribe them in a second once we add in the try-catch functionality in here as well. So that's all looking good. Let's go back to our cloud page. And now what we want to do is we want to, now that we've got this working, we want to add a try-catch so that we can capture both a success when it's a successful capture, and then also when there's an error, to help us with our error handling. So to do that, let's go into our if statement, and let's just create a little bit of space in here just so we make sure that we know that we're in our if statement. And let's add in our try. We're going to open up the bracket there. And then we're going to close that bracket after what we were trying there. And then let's also add in the catch. We're going to put in this, name the variable of error in there. And then we're going to open that and close that as well. Okay. So in our try, what we'd like to do is also capture in a data extension when that subscriber gets added, just so that we can validate that, that it was successful. So what we'll want to do in here is let's just add in another data extension. So we're going to copy this syntax up above here. Whenever you're adding a new data extension, as we had covered before, you have to list the name of the data extension and you need to initialize it. So let's go under, we can, I guess, put it under here, and I already created a data extension for this example. So let's use this subscriber add data extension. So we're just going to copy the name. We're going to paste that in here. Let's call this sub add, and then we'll call this sub add 2, and this will be sub add, initializing the data extension up above. Okay, excellent. And then we're going to copy the syntax for the rows add, because we're going to want to add a row if it's successful to and then let's also add semicolons here, just so I got the syntax right. We want to add to a data extension when it's successful. So let's just copy this in here. And then let's go back to our data extension, determine what the fields are. So we basically only have 2 fields here. We have the subscriber key, and that's going to be the first field here. Luckily, it is email. And then the second value is this pub list. And that's going to go here. And I'm just going to hard code this as weekly subscriber. Okay, so that looks pretty good as far as creating a success message once that's tried. And then let's also add in an error message as well, so that we can get outputted to us both. We'll do the visual output in the cloud page, and then also we'll be able to it's also logged to a data extension as well. So I already got up here our data extension. We've created this SSJS error log data extension because we were planning on doing some error logging anyways. So let's just pull that up so we know what that is. It's going to be 2 fields in here, so relatively straightforward. So we're going to be using this log.de data extension. So let's just copy that down here and drop that into our catch. And then let's copy this syntax for the rows add. And the 2 fields in this data extension, we're going to use the error, which is here, and the message. So we're going to pass a static message, which I think we'll do under the error. And then, you know what, we'll do the message as the static message since we've already got this here. So let's say for this step, because what we're doing is we're trying to, we can try testing that a subscriber was added. So let's just say data was not added for subscriber in data extension. And you can customize this however you want for any of your scenarios. And then the error for the custom error, we need to output what that is. So, and in fact, let's just set a variable for the message. So let's say it's a generic message. And we'll set that equals to, let's just bring this over so we can just make this a little cleaner. And we'll do a semicolon after that. And then for the message that we're going to pull from the error itself, let's call that error message. And we're going to do this platform function. We're going to stringify the error that gets created, you know, if an error gets created. We've covered that before, the platform function of that to pull in that code. And then let's also we're going to set our AmpScript variable so that it also outputs on the cloud page as well. I think I had this originally. I might have just deleted it, so we'll just add that there. Okay, so that should output here as well, and then this should get captured in the email, in the data extension. So let's just put this instead of this. This is going to be error message. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good there for our catch statement. So hopefully that should log those errors in there. And let's just see if we have any issues with this syntax cloud page. Okay, so far so good. Feeling good about that. All right, so let's go and let's test this. Again, we're going to add a new subscriber, and hopefully we should see that log in the success data extension, that as well. So I'm going to add 224.com, and we're going to do weekly and monthly. Submit that. Okay, no errors appeared there. Let's go into our data extension to see if we've got anything. There's that subscriber add data extension. And so here we go. Here's what we just added, that subscriber. Here's the static information that we added, and then here's the date that was added. So a way that you can log your success messages that can be helpful. And then let's just go back to the publication list. This should have populated me as well on here, but that really wasn't what we were testing. But yeah, that looks like I was added there as well. Okay, great. All right, so let's create an error so that it can output the error message. So to do that, let's go back to this subscriber add data extension. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a field to this data extension that's not nullable. So let me just clear out this data first so we can add that field. And we're going to edit this field, and let's just add in this test field. I'm not going to make it nullable, so it is required. So this should fail. Like, it shouldn't be able to add this person to the data extension because it's looking for that test field, but we're not going to add it. So let's just try saving that. And then once that's saved, we'll go back and rerun the cloud page just to see if it causes an error. So let's go back, and I think the same cloud page should work. Let's try another. And I'll just click on, we'll click on both. Okay, so I got an internal server error. Let's just see what happened there. Let's see if we had something in the error logging. Nothing happened there. Okay. Let's go back into the cloud page and see maybe we had something not correct in the catch. So let's see. Oh, I didn't really spell that correctly. Stringify error, and that's error, semicolon, semicolon, error message. That looks right. Okay, let's try that. That was interesting that it didn't error out initially. try that again. Okay, good. So now we're seeing an error there in the cloud page itself. There was an error adding the rows, which makes sense because that field was required. And let's go to the data extension. Let's see if we have something populated in this error log. Yeah, looks like we got a record. And same thing. So we've got the the email address that came through, which is interesting. We'll have to take a look at why that email address came through on there. I think I was using email as the error. Oh yeah, I think that was a subscriber key I was using for that. And here's the message. So that was captured and good to know there. So that's good. That is an example of showing the error handling for a success message and then also showing one for an error message as well. All right, so let's go back. First of all, let's clear. I want to fix this data extension. And then what we'll do is we're just going to unsubscribe just to finish out that process. So let's go back into the subscriber ad. I'm going to just edit this field and delete it so this error doesn't happen again. Okay. And then let's go back and we're going to modify this if statement so that we're going to be checking for unsubscribes. So let's go to, we're going to change this to a weekly no. And then if the value is no, we want to change this from active to unsubscribed. And I think that should be it in our publication list. Let's say weekly unsubscribed. I think that's all we need to do there. Let's just hit save. Publish that. And then let's go back to this publication list. Let's pick an active email address. And let's go back to this cloud page and just see if this works. So we're just going to unsubscribe for both of them. Submit that. No errors there. Go check to see if that added to the subscriber ad. Yep, weekly unsubscribed. Let's go to that publication list. I think we just need to refresh it. And there they are, unsubscribed. Let's just pull this subscriber into all subscribers. And it might work. Sometimes all subscribers does timeout. And we should be able to see that the subscribers should still be green shirted. Yep. And then it should show in their list that they were unsubscribed from that list. There you go. Okay. So that's pretty much a walkthrough end to end of the publication subscribe. I think the subscribe functionality, activation, the adding to the publication list works well. The unsubscribe, I think we'd want to do a little bit more of the traditional unsubscribe approach. Hopefully we'll get to this on hands-on using AMP script. It's more the recommended approach to doing that. So before we move on to the next topic, I just wanted to check to see if there were any questions.
Yeah, I'm checking no questions as of now.
Okay.
Yeah, just on the Zoom in when your screen
Zoom. Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. I missed that. Yeah. Okay.
No worries.
Great.
Yeah,
all right.
No
okay. So we'll go back. I think we've got a little bit of time to dive into this use case for the triggering and automation. Talk about this in a little bit more detail. So Cervell Bank has got this amazing contact us form, and it's on their website. It's a nested marketing cloud landing page, and they have two challenges. One, they want to send out this, this welcome email message to those leads that sign up immediately after the form fill out. And then they also want to match, if somebody fills in this form and they are an existing lead in Salesforce, they want to match to that record so they don't have to pay for an additional record within Marketing Cloud and or add an additional duplicate record in there. So they want to use SSJS to trigger an automation in real time. So as we all know, automations do have a limitation in Marketing Cloud that they, the fastest you can make it run is on an hourly basis. You can add wait steps and multiple automations to speed that up, but they don't really have a real-time solution. So we're going to use a server-side JavaScript to trigger an automation immediately, which is kind of cool. And that's going to run this query that's going to do the matching of that as well. So what we're going to do is we're using this query, which is taking the people that have filled out that form. It's matching them against the synchronized data extension, the lead synchronized data extension. And if there is a match that's going to, if that lead email exists in the lead synchronized data extension, we're going to output that as a subscriber key. Otherwise, it's going to use the email that's provided from the form. So a relatively straightforward query, but just wanted to carry through that use case as to why we want to use an automation for this. And you can see in the data that we'll see today, here's an example where I filled out two forms, one for my Gmail address. I do not exist as a lead in Salesforce under that, but I do exist under my Cervelo address. And so what it needs to do, that query will do is it'll take that lead subscriber key and add that lead ID and add it as a subscriber key versus using this as an email address. And then we'll fire them through the journey. And so we're going to be diving into this cool function called invoke perform. We basically are creating a object, this automation object that we are firing. And we're using, once we create that object, we are going to be using this start activity that's associated with the API functions for that automation. We're going to be outputting a result and based on the result of the action itself. And then not over 100% sure what PO is doing, but it's just following the syntax for what was required. So we're going to be walking through that in a little bit more detail. And then if we have some time, we'll go into tips. So let me just jump into Marketing Cloud. And let's just quickly go over a couple of things. We've got this automation set up. It is currently running. So this is, the scenario where you've got an automation running. It may, kick off every hour, but we want to speed that up. If someone fills out that form, we want to send that out immediately. Here's that example of that query we just showcased, and here's an example of some of those records outputting. And then here is the journey itself. So we should see that increase. I want to refresh this. Sometimes Automation Studio can time out there. Okay, fantastic. So let's take a look at the cloud page that we set up. We're not going to build this today because we don't have a ton of time, but we want to go through the details of what was brought over here and what's currently working. So we did a little research and to try to find the best practices of how to do that. And Adam Spriggs has a really cool example of this. We can drop this link in the chat, which outlines how to go about and do this. His use case is a little bit more complicated in that it is checking whether the automation is active or not. So we did a little bit of cutting and pasting of this code and did a little bit of research on the functionality of the invoke perform, which is an AMP script function that is being converted over to server-side JavaScript and the functionality to work in that environment. So basically, this is performing an API object. And you can click on this link in this AMP script doc, and it shows you all the different objects that are available for operations that you can send either by AMP script, in a script in an automation, or on a cloud page. And it shows all the different actions that you can do. So if we look at automation, we can create all of these functions are available, which are pretty handy. And then if you go into the specific automation object, these are the properties that are carried through on the code of specific things that you need to pass, like status and all that. That's what's detailed in this AMP script code. So if we take a look at in the cloud page, and we'll sort of walk through what this code is doing a little bit. The first thing that we're doing is we're setting a variable for the automation itself. This is the key for that automation. So if we go back into the automation, this key that was when this was created, it ends in D17F. If we go back in the cloud page, that's that key that we're setting here to identify which automation it needs to run. This create objects is creating an object that has one of those specific objects, and this is the object type that we've got here designated, which is automation. And then it's adding those specific fields that are necessary in order to trigger that automation. So we need the program key, which is the key itself, the status. And then we've got another object that's being created, which is creating a filter on that automation, which includes the automation customer key. And then it goes down, we won't go through in too much more detail, but here's the actual function itself, where it's taking the object, which is the object of the automation. It's having it start to run that automation, and then we're actually outputting the result, which we can take a look at what that result is. And then the PO variable here, which is doing this perform options. So let's just, let's click in here and let's just test this functionality to see if we can get this to work. So let's go back to the automation. And so this automation is going to run at, every hour. I think the next time it's going to run is on the 14th at 1 a.m. So it's not currently, actively running. But it is active. So if we go back into our cloud page, and I'm just going to put in my information for the lead that should pull in a lead ID, and I'm just going to submit that. And you can see it takes a little while here. I think it's doing some thinking in the background, so it might be not as performant, but here's that message. Again, I have it output on the error, but it's definitely not an error. It looks like it is active, looks like true, it looked like it went through. If we go over to the automation, we should hopefully see it running. Yep, it's doing its thing, it's running. It should be creating some data from that multi-form and firing the journey. Let's go back one more time. I want to just fill out the form for a subscriber that doesn't have a lead ID. So let's just fill that out. Well, and we'll submit that, and that should run the automation a second time as well. So I think it just needs to do a little bit of work as it's doing the automation. Let me just see if we can refresh this. Maybe it may not be able to fire again. Yeah, it may not be able to fire if it's currently running. So that could be another thing to take a look at. You might have to add a delay, although it looks like 1247 and 1248. Let's go check the date extension to see what was created. Test welcome. Here's the test welcome email. Okay, yeah, this was just created. Here's that subscriber key for that email address using the lead ID. And there's the emails there. Let's go into the journey. And I think if we refresh this, this should be now 12. Oh, 14, that might have been, I might have been testing it before, but those, yeah, we did see some two new subscribers coming in. And then let me just check my email box to see if I got an email. Yes, I just got an email. So, yep, this is the email. So just got the email. So perfect. So sorry, that was a little bit quick. Just wanted to see if there are any questions related to this somewhat complex, but kind of a cool use case of triggering an automation using server-side JavaScript. We can also dig into this a little bit more hands-on if we have time as well, sort of breaking this down. Okay, no questions. I know we're sort of getting close on time, so let me just quickly spend a few minutes on tips. A lot of these were mentioned throughout the sessions. As JB said, I think it's always good to practice, practice, practice. You know, these sessions are fantastic. They give you a lot of real use cases that you can build right in the platform. Leverage AmpScript as much as possible. I think Sandesh covered this, that server-side JavaScript, as you can see, in a lot of these functions do involve AmpScript. So really understand your AmpScript as much as possible. Whenever you're, this is a simple tip, whenever you're creating, you know, you're opening up a bracket, it's always good to close that bracket immediately right after it, because, you know, in Cloud Pages, you can, if you forget that bracket, trying to find that bracket somewhere in your code can be complicated and challenging. Your try-catch that we went over today, like Sandesh had mentioned, don't just do your try-catch error handling or success handling just once throughout your entire document or your entire code. Do it in the key sections so you can find and error, identify those errors specifically throughout your code. Be careful of, use camel case, be mindful of capitalization. Sandesh's debug, I think, is just a really cool tool to allow you to populate those errors, populate those values. Sorry for the typo there. Sandesh's point, I think, was well said in the last session. Try to avoid mixing them too much. Try to, lean on a specific code within your assets, and use those functions. I think Sandesh covered those last time because they can help modularize your solutions, and then try to be descriptive as much as you can for those functions so you know what they're covering. And that was it. So hopefully that gave you a good overview of the try-catch, not only from an error standpoint, but also from a success handling preview of the different ways of, that might fold into your logic on preference centers, and then a little cool function on triggering an automation. That is it. Any questions? Any other thoughts from anybody in the group?
That's wonderful, Tim. The nice way to wrap up the bootcamp. So I don't see any questions. Okay, so I will be uploading the recordings at the earliest possible. I need to catch up on the few recordings as well, and we'll try to get the decks. So if at all we have the decks, that will be linked in the description part of the videos. So Raja, if you have any question, you can directly ask Tim. You can unmute yourself and ask Tim. And anyone has any questions, we have a few more minutes before we wrap up.
Yeah, hi Tim. This is Raja.
Hi Raja. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi Raja.
Can you explain in detail what the...
Yeah, sure, JB. So yeah, thanks for the session, Tim, and really helpful. And I have one follow-up question with regards to the previous session, wherein Sandesh told that we can use this control var syntax to populate either the SSJS variable or any AmpScript variable. And then I tried in my hands-on session to output one of the error log, error value, and then somehow it throws an error, and it doesn't work. And only if I use the AMP script variable, after setting an AMP script variable in the SSJS, and then if I use that same AMP script variable, only then it's working. But control syntax, it's not working. I was thinking it's because of maybe the library issue, or it could be other issues. So any insights on that? Am I missing something?
I can ask Sandesh a little bit more details on that, and see if he can provide any, and maybe we can have an answer for you for the hands-on session. If not tomorrow, definitely next week.
Okay.
And I can test it as well, just to see, to replicate that. Do you want to, are you in the Slack channel on the MC Learning Camp?
Yes, Tim.
Yeah, if you want to paste in some of your screen capture, that would be helpful, and I could share that with Sandesh and get an answer for you, hopefully tomorrow, or if not by Tuesday.
Yeah, sure. I will paste the cloud link. Cloud page link directly. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use the Slack channel. We have the dedicated channel for this one, right? SSJS Bootcamp and Challenges.
Yeah.
You can post it there and tag Sandesh, so he can check and respond there.
Sure.
Even better.
Yeah, thanks.
Direct access to Sandesh.
So Tim, we need your help. So asking Sandesh to check the messages. You are the messenger.
Yes, I will. Once it's posted, if you want to ping both me and Sandesh, I'll make sure that I'll send it to him, and that's great. Raja, thank you for trying and exploring and learning. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks to you all.
So, Tim, we have builder for tomorrow's session. Raja volunteered to.
All right, Raja.
Tomorrow.
Yes, awesome. We already got you in the system. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for volunteering.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm sorry. That was it. Sorry.
So it's a great bootcamp. There are a lot of content, a lot of informative sessions in there. So thank you everyone for joining us and continuing. And this participation really means to us, and that's the reason why we continue to do these sessions. Tim, you want to add anything?
Just thank you, JB. Thank you. It's just been super fun. Thank you for everything.
Okay, we hope to see you again in the next 3 sessions. So let's catch up there. Thanks, everyone. Bye.